white African boy, eagerly showing his farmer father his latest invention. He quickly removed the batteries from the radio, yet the sound continued to play clearly. His father's weathered eyes filled with astonishment. The boy immediately explained it was wind power, spinning blades that generated electricity. If they could use larger blades, they could drive a water pump to draw groundwater for irrigating their fields. That would finally break the back of this endless drought. But there was a catch. They'd need to dismantle his father's only prized possession, his bicycle, to use as part of the generator. His father listened calmly at first, then exploded, ridiculing his son's idea as absurd fantasy. How could this kid think a broken windmill could solve a drought that had stumped generations? The hurt boy shot back, "Because I know things you don't, because I've been to school." Those words set off his uneducated father completely. He grabbed his son and threw him to the ground, then smashed his creation to pieces. "I was wrong about you," his father raged. "It's time you learned to farm. Get up and plow the field." His father's words pierced his heart like bullets, leaving him helpless as tears streamed down his face. Was he destined to waste his life in these hopeless fields? Yet William obeyed. Before sunrise each day, he swung his hoe in the fields, but he couldn't let go of his thirst for knowledge. In his spare time, William repaired radios for neighbors, learning how electronics worked. The noise often woke his sleeping father, but seeing his son's passion, his father never scolded him. Instead, he'd take the radio and walk the fields alone, studying the unpredictable weather. The extreme climate brought either months of relentless rain or scorching sun that withered the crops. The corn from this land was the family's only income source. As the drought worsened, corn yields plummeted and their savings ran dry. Even so, his father scraped together enough for William's first semester of middle school tuition. This unexpected gift transformed that day's harsh words into a warm embrace. Soon, William walked to school in his crisp new uniform, his steps light with joy, passing through dappled forest paths to the dusty schoolyard. Whether under blazing sun or sudden downpours, nothing dampened his hunger for knowledge. But as soon as the bell rang, his science teacher pulled William aside, demanding the remaining $80 in tuition within a week, or he'd be expelled from class. Happy moments are always fleeting. The hope in his eyes dimmed. His first exam scores were disappointing. Determined to catch up, he studied tirelessly after school each evening. But the fading twilight wasn't enough to read by, like distant starlight that couldn't illuminate his dark future. His mother told him they could no longer afford kerosene for the lamp. Watching his father toil in the rain-soaked fields, it seemed poverty was destined to block his path. But William refused to give up. To keep learning, he and his friend visited the village dump daily, searching for treasure. In the tobacco company's discarded waste, William always found something useful. This time, after hours of searching, he only found a water pump and a dead lead-acid battery. Nothing to help him study at night. Disappointed, William returned to the village just as the chief was holding a meeting. The tobacco company wanted to buy the last of the local trees for $15 a ton to fuel their tobacco dryers. The chief insisted these trees were their last defense against floods and sandstorms. They couldn't be cut down. William's father strongly agreed, firmly opposing the plan. But some villagers, thinking only of immediate gain, ignored the long-term consequences and started signing up. Their peer pressure swayed others. Despite the chief and father's pleas, they could only watch as the flood-blocking trees fell in what was once a hopeful forest. The fleeing birds carried away their former beauty. The howling wind brought endless sorrow. Dark clouds on the horizon obscured their future. Though William felt helpless anger, there was nothing he could do. He went to the bad kids' hangout to listen to the ball game with his friends, trying to ease his anxiety. Just as the game reached its peak moment, the radio died. Everyone turned to William, the radio repair guy. He sprinted home through the darkness, grabbed every dead battery in the house, and rushed back through light rain to the hideout. William didn't disappoint. He connected all the dead batteries in series, positive to negative, explaining as he worked, then inserted them into the radio. It sprang to life. William became a hero to all the kids. After the game, heading home in pouring rain, William unexpectedly saw his sister on a date with the science teacher. In their backward village, this was deeply shameful. Not only would it make her the butt of everyone's jokes, it would disgrace the whole family. William decided to teach the teacher a lesson. The next day, he and his friend planned to slash the teacher's bike tire. But just as he was about to act, William hesitated. His friend suggested stealing the bike light instead. That would warn the teacher and give William a light to study by at night. This time William didn't hesitate, but after struggling with it, the light wouldn't budge. Following the wire, he discovered it wasn't connected to a battery at all, but to a silver device on the wheel. He told his friend to spin the tire fast. As it rotated and rubbed against the device, a faint light gradually appeared, illuminating not just the darkness, but his dimming hopes. That night, William overheard his parents worrying about money outside his bedroom door. Poor Harvests had drained their savings completely, so they'd have to sacrifice his tuition to survive. The next day, William was called out by the principal for not paying his tuition and permanently expelled from class. The light in his eyes went out. His frustration poured down with the storm clouds. Drifting white clouds carried away his dreams, and raging floods swept away his youthful aspirations. He stood frozen, as if time had stopped. His future seemed to drown in the rain-flooded fields. Without trees to block it, the rain grew more savage, gathering into countless streams that mercilessly swamped the farmland. His father, covered in mud, desperately dug drainage ditches in the storm. But against nature's fury, all efforts seemed futile. Helpless, he could only look apologetically at his mother. Yet their cursed life allowed no turning point. The rainstorm finally stopped, only to be replaced by scorching sun. Months of blazing heat left the new corn seedlings lifeless and drooping. Things couldn't continue like this. Desperate, his father rode his only bicycle across endless, desolate plains, through dingy, cramped villages, over muddy, crisscrossing fields, finally finding his friend who worked for the government. But his friend couldn't help. Instead, he told William's father to prepare for a nationwide famine. His father immediately went to the chief, hoping he could tell the president about their dire situation when he came to the village campaigning for votes. To prevent a repeat of the starvation 20 years ago, the chief agreed to his father's request. Now the family survived on meager cornmeal, praying the president's visit would change their tragic fate. But William believed fate was in your own hands. He vowed to make his dreams a reality. So he spent his days digging through the dump for treasures. Finally, a dead car battery gave him an idea. If he connected all the dead batteries together, positive to negative, he could make one useful battery. Connected to the water pump, it could draw groundwater to irrigate the fields. But the battery needed constant charging, a steady supply of electricity. How to generate that power became William's biggest challenge. So he put on his uniform and snuck into school when the principal wasn't looking.